Welcome to today's lesson. In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at financial arithmetic or consumer arithmetic. And the first thing that we're going to look at is earnings. Earnings. Like for doing a job, there is a certain amount of money that you get. And under earnings, there are words that you come across. You come across a word like salaries. This is the money that you get after you have worked for a month. And wages, this is usually an amount of money that you get uh, after working for a day or working for an hour or working for a week, but not after working for longer than a month and upwards. You also come across a word like gross income. Gross income, this is the your pay before any deductions. Before they have deducted anything, that's what you refer to as gross income. And net income is the take home. This is what you take home after all the deductions have been made. And these deductions can be a contribution that you're making towards your pension. It could be medical aid. It could be tax, which is referred to as pay as you earn, and it could be other contributions that you're making, let's say insurance or whatever. So what you remain with after all those other deductions have been made. And we also look at overtime. Overtime, this is the time that you work up and above the agreed time in your contract. Let's say if you're working a 40-hour week, if you work 45, then it means the 5 extra hours will be referred to as overtime, and you will be paid for them at a different rate, which is usually higher than your normal rate. Then we look at commission. Commission, this is what you get, like a certain percentage that you get after sales. If you manage to reach sales of this much, we're going to give you a percentage of this much. That is commission. And then the amounts or the money or the pay that we get for doing work is rated differently. Some is rated hourly, which means you're going to be paid per hour. Some is rated daily, which means there can be a fixed amount to say you're going to be working for this much for per day. It could be rated weekly, which means they just say per week this is how much you're getting, or it could be monthly or yearly. So to proceed, I'm just going to look at a couple of examples on earnings. That's what we are concentrating on today, so that we have a clear picture of what to expect. Okay, let's say we have a question that says Miss Mango sells fruit for a basic weekly wage of $23 plus a commission of 30 cents for every 100 kilograms of fruit sold. What is your total income in a week, if she sells 6 tons, if she sells 6 tons of fruit. Okay, so to tackle this question, I just want you to understand that there is a fixed weekly wage of $23, fixed weekly wage of $23, and then there is a commission that is added on top of this weekly wage, and that commission is a percentage of the sales. So we're just going to calculate the commission here. So here we've been told per 100 kgs she gets 30 cents, and if she sells 6 tons, then obviously she's going to get more. And what is 6 tons in kilograms? Because 1 kilogram, oh, 1 ton, sorry, 1 ton is equal to 1,000 kilograms. So 6 tons will be equal to 6,000 kilograms. So if you want to change this into an equation, we are saying 100 kilograms is equal to 30 cents. What about 6,000? 6,000 kilogram we can say is equal to X. So we can change this into an equation like this. So if it becomes an equation, we are saying what is the amount that she's going to get when she sells 6,000 kilograms of fruit. So if we do cross multiplication here, you're going to have 100 times X, and we're also going to have 1,000 times 30. Okay, so here you're going to have 100x being equal to 30,000. And if you divide both sides, here by 100, you're going to have x being equal to 300. X being equal to 300, and I want you to understand that x is in cents, which means this is 300 cents. So 300 cents is equal to how many dollars? We know that a dollar is equal to 100 cents. Then 300 cents will be equal to $3. So which means your total income which is equal to weekly wage plus commission will be equal to $23 plus $3 commission, which is going to make your total income $26. So I want you to understand that in this particular question, we have covered a weekly wage. We have also covered a commission, an example of commission, and we have also spoken of a total income, which is the whole amount that this lady is going to get after working for a week. So these are the words that you need to understand before you can attempt to answer questions on earnings or on income. I'm going to look at another example. Let's say we have a question that says Terry and Betty work in different factories, Terry is paid $3.20 per hour for a basic working week of 35 hours, and receives time and half for any overtime. Betty is paid $3.50 per hour for a basic working week of 39 hours, and receives double time for any overtime. The question goes on to say, find A, Terry's basic weekly wage. Okay, so I'm just going to answer these questions one at a time as they come. So here we have been told Terry and Betty work in different factories. Terry is paid $3.20 per hour for a basic working week of 35 hours, and receives time and a half for any overtime. So what we're going to do here is we're going to calculate Terry's basic weekly wage, and we know he works 35 hours. So Terry's weekly wage would be 35 hours times the hourly rate of $3.20. So we can calculate it as whole numbers like this, and remember to position your decimal place in the right position. So here it says 0, 3 times 0, that's 0, 3 times 2, that's 6, 3 times 3, that's 9, 0 times 5, that's 0, 0, 5 times 2, that's 10, let's carry 1, that's 3 times 5, 15, plus 1, that's 16, and you add the 2, that's 0, 0, 12, 9, 10, 11, and you put your comma there, which means sorry, your comma is supposed to be two decimal places. Okay, so here we put 0, and here you put your decimal place, which means Teresa's weekly wage will be equal to $112. Let's move on to part B and see what other question is there. Part B says Teresa's overtime rate per hour. Teresa's overtime rate per hour. So if they say his rate is 1.5 more than the usual rate, we are saying 1.5 times $3.20 times $3.20. So here we can say 3/2 times, here we can put it in cents, right, like that. We say 2 into 2, 1, 2 into 3, that's 1, remainder 1, into 12, that's 6, into 0, that's 0, and then we say 160 times 3, here that's 0, 18, 3 plus 1, that's 480, that's 480 cents, which translates to $4.80. So this will be the answer for part B. Let's look at part C. Part C says find Betty's weekly wage. Betty's basic weekly wage. So Betty's weekly wage will be $3.50 times 39 hours. $3.50 times 39 hours. So we can express it in cents, and it will be equal to 350 times 39. This is 0, that's 0, and 15, 9 plus 1, that's 10, 0, 45, and 9 times 3, that's 27, 27 plus 3 plus 4, that's 31, and then you add, that's 0, 5, 6, 3, 1, and then you put two decimal places like this, and your answer will be equal to $136.50. This will be Betty's basic weekly wage. Let's look at part D. Part D says find Betty's overtime rate per hour. Overtime rate per hour. So we get from the question, it says Betty's overtime is double time, which means we are multiplying the normal rate by 2. So the normal rate is 3 $50 by 2, and you get your answer is $7. So over time is being paid $7 per hour. Okay, and let's look at part E. Part E says who receives, find who receives the greater gross pay in a week if they both worked 45 for 45 hours. So here we're going to look at Terry. Normal time for Terry is 35 hours. 35 hours, and overtime for Terry will be equal to 45 minus 35, and it's going to be 10 hours of overtime. And then we look at Betty. Normal time for Betty will be equal to 39 hours, and overtime will be equal to 45 minus 39, which gives us 6 hours. Okay, so the total amount of money that Terry is getting, gross pay will be equal to 35 times $3.20. 35 times $3.20 plus the rate for overtime is $4.80. We're saying 10 hours times $4.80. So here we can calculate, we can write okay, so we have already found this one on top here. That's 35 or $3.20 by 35, that's 112. So we're saying 112 dollars plus this one will be equal to $48, right? Plus $48, this one will give us $48, and the total will be equal to that's 160. Okay, and then we say Betty gross pay. Gross, we said it's the income before deductions, before they've deducted any contributions. So here gross pay for Betty will be equal to 39 hours times the rate per hour, which is $3.50, plus the overtime is 6 hours times at a rate of $7. So the normal time pay, we have calculated it on top here, is $136.50. It's $136.50, and if we add the commission, if we add the commission here, the commission will be 7 times 6, which gives us 42. That's 42. And if we add this is 50. Here this is 4. Sorry. If we add this is 8. This is 7, and this is 1. So which means the gross pay for Betty will be equal to $178.50. So the question says, who receives greater gross pay in a week if they both worked? So now we are comparing $178.50 and $160. So we know here the conclusion will be Betty okay, sorry. The question says, who receives greater gross pay? Betty receives greater gross pay, because we can clearly see $178.50 is more than $160. Okay, that's all I had for you in today's lesson. I just want you to go through these terms that I have defined at the beginning of the lesson. So the most important thing under consumer arithmetic or financial arithmetic is for you to understand what these terms mean, and for you to understand how these pay structures work. What is commission? What is overtime? How do you find the rate for overtime? And how do you put all those values together? And if there are any contributions, how do you subtract the contributions from the gross pay to end up with the net income? So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next lesson.